Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Bar Shem, Yahweh Shai, Bar Shem, Harakah, Kodash, double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. This is Paya Allah, GMS London Camp, and this is News and Prophecy, Prophecy and News. And got an article here from Zero Edge. And it says the title reads, 7 things that used to be crazy conspiracy theories until 2020 happened. And, coming down from Apostle Tar in the Spirit, this year has been named, the 2020 has been named the year of prophecy, all right? And that's what we've been looking for, all right? We're instructed by the Lord to watch as well as pray, all right? And to measure the time diligently. And the way you measure the time is you watch the news, basically, what's going on in society, and you measure that up against the scriptures, and you see where we are, and that's how you work out whereabouts we are in time. And basically, we're at the end, okay? We're knocking on the door of the kingdom, all right? Our salvation, not without the first, not without our temptation, the time of Jacob's trouble, all right? But with all that being said, 2020, prophecy is basically making it as to where the average person is looking at it like, yo, the world is coming to an end, all right? let me not even say that. But anyway, I'm going to delve into this article. It says, remember back in the old days of, say, 2019, when anyone who talked about microchip implants, Americans being forced to show travel papers, and re-education camps was thought to be a crazy conspiracy theorist. And then 2020 rolled around, and voila, it turns out those conspiracy theories weren't so crazy after all. All right, and that's how everyone's looking at it. That's the general sentiment now. Everyone's looking at it like, damn, like anything could happen, man. And I'm not just talking about the government releasing info about UFOs. You see, and that's what come out. They're basically letting you know that what the world knows is UFOs is a real thing, all right? But they're not giving you the full information. They're more or less utilizing that information for their own means, their own justification. All right. But the reality about the UFOs is that the Lord is going to come in the midst of World War III, all right, to take out the rulers of this world and establish themselves here at the kingdom of heaven, basically, right? We're living in a time when someone will attempt to beat the crap out of you, burn your house down, or even kill you if you voted for the wrong presidential candidate. We are being subjected to curfews, our movement is restricted, and our businesses have been forcibly shut down. One day people will look back on this as the year that everything changed, or depending on how America responded to the mandates, the year we finally said enough. All right? But really, this is the turning point, all right? Because even right now, you had Boris Johnson come out and basically say, yo, like, the lockdown's going to be eased over here. And there's going to be a new thing established and everything. So everyone's looking at it like, yeah, pandemic's over. We're out of the woods, basically. But the reality is, they're just giving you, that's just a morale booster, right? So people feel like, yeah, we're back. And even they said the curfew ain't going to be at 10 o'clock no more. The curfew's going to be at 11, or when all the restaurants and the gyms and all that can have to shut down by whatever. But the reality is, you still lost some of your freedom, all right? And it's not to say that now it's gonna go back to normal. No, they just know they got chip away at the people's will to resist, basically, all right? So says here are seven things that were considered crazy conspiracy theories until now, when they are becoming far too real. So the first one, I'm going to blow through these and hopefully be edified. So universal basic income. Did you ever really think we'd live in a country where government would tell private business owners when and how they could operate, where workers would be told you can no longer go to work for your own good. Well, welcome to 2020, all right? So it says 22 million jobs were lost and only 42% of those were recovered by last August when the country began to reopen. Millions of the lost jobs were permanent losses as businesses across the country fold under the weight of the restrictions that either don't allow them to operate or the money problems of their former customers. Right, so I'm just going to move on to the next one. So it says travel papers. Don't be ridiculous. We'll never have to show our papers to travel freely in the United States. Though, um, not until a COVID pandemic with all its subsidiary restrictions occurred. Back in March, days after I warned about the first lockdown, I wrote, for everyone who thought the article about the lockdown of America was a hysterical overstatement and that they could still do whatever they wanted because they wasn't really being enforced. Let me just jump through this. Travel papers are being handed out to me. This sounds like lockdowns I wrote of yesterday. We're just in the first incremental step towards society that nobody hopes to see. Alright? You can read through that. But basically travel papers are restricting your movement and you need to verify your movement. No one would have thought this before. But this is the same thing that happened in World War One, I believe, or World War Two, when they brought about the passports. Right? So this is a long time coming. That's what people don't realise. They think that they've lost a little piece of liberty, like a big piece of liberty. No, you lost it a long time ago, right? You're none the wiser. You don't know that you didn't need no passport before, right? And you had land allotted to yourself. You was a sovereign within your own right. Every person in the world, but guess what? Esau came into rulership and changed all of that, all right? And when I say sovereign within your own right, take that with a pinch of salt. Oh man. So it says mandatory GPS tracking of humans. Don't be silly. Nobody's actually tracking you with your phone. You're not Jason Bourne. Whoops. 2020 proved that that was a lie when they rolled out the contact tracing apps to make sure you didn't breathe the same air as somebody who got a positive COVID test. And I did a video on that, and they let you know in the UK you are basically spook cells that are basically monitoring the people. Alright, so it's even further than what they're saying about apps that actually got cells watching people. Cashless society. Somehow the United States run out of change. There were no coins to be had anywhere for a while. Bloomberg reported in August. Alright, so they run out of cash, but at the same time they phase out cash. Like over here in the UK, they've been doing it, but they said that they made their planned jump for cashless society, the planned desired destination for a cashless society was closer, made 5 years closer through this whole pandemic, the last 6 months basically. Microchips, right? The microchip and the cashless society go hand in hand because the microchip is a mark of the beast. And the mark of the beast in the word tells you that you can't buy or sell save he that have the chip. So when they're working towards a cashless society, they're making it where the only means by you can actually have a place within the society is by utilizing the RFID chip, and that's why they're slowly phasing out cash. So it says microchips. DARPA got involved earlier on, touting it was a way to save us from COVID-19. So DARPA come out. No, it says mandatory vaccines and re-education camps. But I'm just gonna go in on the microchips and how. So it says, but governments aren't having to market the chip as a method to track trades and control their populations. It said they're marketing the chip as a method to as a way to track and detect COVID and other coronaviruses. Clearly, this is a much easier sell to a public literally terrorized by the governments and mainstream media outlets over the last 6 months, right? So they're basically marketing it, yeah, and it says, and this goes back to when you had the Very chip back in 2007, 2006, where they're basically talking about chipping the people, and it was a means for like having people's biometrics and being able to deal with them if they, had a John Doe come into the hospital. But then with this, they're saying that they can, and that was the same thing they said. They mentioned it as a side note. And now looking back, you can see that that was a side note they mentioned to prime the minds of the people, that they said it could secrete medication into the people. So it says that there was a breakthrough. Let me read here. It says the microchip talk died down, but the fact it was even a discussion, I believe it says but it was, and topic of COVID research should be troubling. Anyway, after the initial microchip hubbub, the push got redirected toward our new conspiracy theory, vaccines, alright? Which basically vaccines goes back to the RFID chip. I'm not going to read through that. Re-education camps. So, yeah, you can read through this article and check it out. But the energy. So I'm gonna read this key scripture because this is what we're in. Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because you know that you have but a short time. So time is short, and you need to get with the program. If you ain't, then more than likely you ain't of the elect, right? But hey, you got to fight to make a call in an election, sure. So while the gates of mercy is still there and the Lord's hand is extended, make an effort, man. This is the time to get right for the Lord when he arrives, because you don't want to be caught out there slipping, right? So with that, I pray you're edified. Say shalom.